listening to the Rachel Dolezal podcast, and I'm your host today. This is Rachel. I have a co-host today, Vaughn Joseph. Say hi, Vaughn.
Up.
And we are going to be talking about Halloween today. So we're going to be talking about what to wear, what not to wear. Can we play with gender, race, class, sexual orientation, animals? What about blackface, brownface, whiteface, redface, yellowface? We're just going to kind of talk about how that intersects with current events and the political climate in the US and abroad. So I saw recently that Obama endorsed Justin Trudeau for Canada, and it made me think of our last episode when we were talking about cancel culture and who gets canceled and why, and how does somebody come back from being canceled, that kind of thing. But it also kind of made me think of Halloween and costumes, and Justin Trudeau had that incident where he said more than one incident where he was wearing blackface or brownface for parties, Halloween parties and things. So yeah, he kind of it blew up. I'm assuming you saw that too.
I did, and I thought it was interesting once I found out that he had done it more than once. I was willing to at least hear it out from the first one, but I didn't know if there was a previous time.
Yeah, so it seemed like everybody was kind of outraged and done with him, and then he apologized, and then Obama endorsed him now, and seems like everybody's kind of over it.
Why do you think Obama endorsed him?
Well, my guess is that probably two reasons. One, he might like his policies and believe that, what he's going to actually do in office is more important than those past transgressions. And two, I think, he needed somebody black to endorse him. He needed a person of color to kind of smooth that over, or say, we're not mad, or we're not mad enough to demand your career is over.
So he's kind of like the what Jesse Jackson might have been to us back in the 90s, I guess, the black peacekeeper.
I mean, yeah, or that one black friend, I guess, for Justin Trudeau. I don't really know the intricacies of the Trudeau-Obama relationship, like if they know each other really well, or how far back they go, or what other reasons might exist. But
well, I'm sure there had to have been something, because you don't just get the president of the United States to come out and endorse you for no reasons. I'm sure they were
right.
Right.
I mean, because it is putting his neck on the line a little bit too. So, gosh, I mean, I've always felt like if somebody would have come out like that for me, in my defense or something, then it probably would have adjusted the public perception at least well enough to proceed forward socially and career-wise. But yeah, so it's interesting, because there are people like Megyn Kelly she got fired from her job for even talking about like it used to be acceptable to wear blackface to parties and things like that during Halloween. So she got fired. I don't think there was ever like a photo of her, dressing up like that. But
yeah, but Megyn Kelly is a pretty little blonde girl that was Fox News darling for many years. So, the public was out to get her any chance they could. So.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, but then you have other people like Zoe Saldana who got blasted for portraying Nina Simone. So the like light-skinned black women, portraying darker-skinned black women has also been blasted as like blackface portrayal. So I don't know. Like I just like I think some people have a little anxiety about it and a bunch of questions like, what can I do? Can I play with gender then? Like, can you dress up for an opposite gender for how, I mean, Halloween is usually you dress up as something you're not. You don't just appear as yourself,
No.
in party clothes. You appear as something that you're not. So like that's kind of the point of a costume.
Yeah, if you make the effort. If you make the effort,
Right.
that's what you look like.
Right. Well, and then some people would be like, well, I just don't want to offend anybody, so I'm just me. I guess. I don't know.
You're playing it safe. That's how society is right now. Maybe that's the best Halloween. Hey, I gotta be me.
I'm dressing up safe.
Gotta be me.
So, I mean, so it's clear with the history, the minstrel era history, the mid 19th century in America, with white actors mocking, through their stereotypical portrayals, subjugative portrayals of Black people through donning blackface. I mean, that's when blackface started, and that's kind of like the historic racist precedent for this being an offensive thing. So I think a lot of other costumes sort of piggyback off of that. Like, don't dress up as a Holocaust victim. Don't dress up as a refugee. Don't dress up as things that
are very sensitive to certain people. That might be
right, like something that triggers pain.
Right.
For somebody else probably isn't a good idea.
No.
But I'm wondering right now if we're comfortable enough as a society with playing with gender to the point where, like, if you're playing with gender with your costume, is that going to be seen as transphobic or is that going to be seen as cool?
I think people are going to see it as you're celebrating the culture. That's how I would see it. But maybe I'm seeing that through 50-year-old eyes. And not...
So if you're a cis heterosexual male and you dress up as a woman just for Halloween, you don't think somebody might have a problem with that?
In this day and age, I don't, because we've been dressing up as everything else but women generally for so long.
Right.
That what the fact of gender now as the conversation piece that it is so, in my opinion, vague based on what I grew up knowing it to be. No one's going to care. I don't see seeing it as being.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't do it just because I feel like that it would be a risk. I don't know. Maybe I just have a lot of social anxiety, but I feel like somebody would be offended just because there's so much like outrage culture and reactiveness on social media that it could just be misinterpreted. Like, don't do that because I don't know.
If I put on a dress and
you could be poking fun at trans women.
No. But what if I didn't just buy something from like eBay and threw it on. Like, I mean, if I did it, I'm meaning that I went out and actually did it, and tried to look good and so on.
But if you're only dressing up as a woman for one day, is that mockery, or is that, I mean, because you could say, like, you could really do a portrayal of somebody of a different skin tone and do it well, but I don't think the success of the costume is as much the issue as the how the person lives their life every day versus what they're dressing up as.
I just don't
feel. Does that make sense?
I just don't feel it does. But I just
like
don't
if you're a cis guy, I just don't. Yeah, I don't think that would be. I think somebody would be a little pissed off.
Culturally, I just don't think that it would be. I think people are doing it all the time anyway. It's like a lot of times we can't tell if it's a guy or a girl. I think that's how they want it. So I don't see people that live so extremely that, as in my opinion, to a degree, that they would find that to be that offensive. They would just be like, okay.
Well, but if you had the pain of, like, say you were, economically, you couldn't afford to have top surgery or bottom surgery or whatever it was, like, you couldn't make the transformation physically, but you were out as a trans woman, but then this guy, just because he has money, he can go like look, he can buy this expensive dress and dress up for one day. And I don't know, like
Why would that be offensive though? I guess I just don't see the what would incite the rage in the person that's trying to transition.
Yeah. I just think that it could be seen as poking fun. But since
I
neither
mean,
one of us are, since we're both cisgender, I guess, it's not for us to decide. I just have like I've had some interact actually the first hate crime here in Spokane when I was president of the NAACP, the first thing that I fought for was a hate crime against a transgender woman who was assaulted and had to actually get surgery on her face. And, the NAACP promotes civil rights, fights against hate crimes. It was kind of, though, a little bit seen as a bold move to stand up for a trans case. But I think that it's just a justice issue. And that particular individual was homeless and couldn't afford, like, was rejected, wasn't allowed to go to the women's shelter, but was rejected at the man's shelter as well. And just, like had so much pain and suffering that I don't know, like if.
I'm not suggesting that situations like that don't exist, but I guess the disconnect for me is when I put that costume or some guy puts that costume on, we're saying for Halloween, that guy's intent is not to mock that person that was abused. So that's where I don't, I mean.
But isn't that also the defense that Justin Trudeau and other people use? Like, I didn't intend to mock this. Actually, this was, Michael Jordan was my hero, or.
No, but I guess to me, like the connection between like blackface and slavery and people being hung and sold as property doesn't really have as deep an attachment psychologically to people as someone deciding to transition from, one face to the next. So I guess to me the impact levels are completely different. And if that person that dressed up like a woman that only just for Halloween was out and on the town and just acting like, rah, and just being rude and mocking and, or trying to, give off a bad energy about what they were dressed up as, then yes, then I would have a problem with it. But if they're just out and it's their thing, like it's my night to be whatever I want to be.
Yeah.
Halloween. It's supposed to be.
Right. Well, and I think people would argue that there is, the triggers and the pain is not the same, but is definitely on both sides. There have been a lot of trans women, especially Black women, trans women murdered. Once, like sometimes upon discovery that they're trans, sometimes just for existing, sometimes as like a homophobic or transphobic thing. But I think that, there's been death and pain with both of those issues is all I'm saying. So it might be safer to not. But what about, so moving on,
not wearing
since
a dress
we can like
for
agree.
Halloween.
Okay, so we can agree to disagree, right?
I'm not wearing a dress.
I'm not going as a guy.
So
and you're not going as a girl.
I'm safe.
But it's just something for people to think about. Like, if you go there, it could offend. I think it would risk offense. Anyways, what about animals?
I guess it depends. Sorry, before we move on to the zoo. I don't think that if we are having, let's say, a party, and you're coming from your house to my house, and you know that there won't likely be anyone there that will be offended by it because it's all your family. You've got a big family. You've got 6 kids, and they've got their kids, and everybody knows everybody. Right. So it's basically 30 people that pretty much all know each other, and a few partners that aren't married scattered throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And then could you do it because you know that it's not going to be
No, no,
offensive?
because what if somebody takes that picture and then later it's like, excuse me, you dressed up as a woman and you are a male politician, and what does that say? Like, you just think it's a joke that people are transgender? I mean, I don't know. Like, if somebody's going to be taking pictures, I don't think, which everybody has his phone, so
No,
everybody's taking pictures. You know what I mean? Like, things are
those get checked
permanent.
at the door. Those
So,
you have to leave those at
yeah.
the door.
Oh my gosh.
And
If this is a super secretive party, then, you might as well just go
yeah,
naked.
well, that's usually after 12. That's when it really starts kicking because the pool is starting to heat up, the hot tub, etc. Drinks are flowing.
Right. All the
Um,
costumes come off.
exactly. So then it doesn't matter what you came as. Everybody looks the same after midnight. That was the California rule. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So don't go out in a dress if you're a man. It's not nice. I used to work at this nightclub in Michigan, in suburban Detroit, and
Mm.
it was Halloween, and these three people came into the bar, and I'm checking their ID, and it was two women dressed up as men,
Right.
and third was a a guy that is now living as a woman.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the scenario. So yeah, it was okay. It was not a big deal. Obviously, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't bother me. It was Halloween. I couldn't have cared less because
Right.
they had like drawn on mustaches, and wearing suits. It was obvious that they were dressed up as men.
Mm-hmm.
But the third one just looked like she just came from, work or something. So,
Right.
but I got her ID, and the name on it was Ron, something to that
Right.
effect. And then so I said, "Thanks, Ron." And then I didn't know that it was now a woman
Mm.
because the gender wasn't changed on the ID,
Yeah.
but the name had changed to like Ronnie or something to that effect. And
Well, and that's why they call it transitioning, because it takes, stages.
yeah, but she lost it on me because I said Ron and not Ronnie.
Mm.
So I think sometimes it just really depends on who you're dealing with regards to what people will find offensive, and some
Yeah.
people might not be bothered by certain things, whereas others might be.
Well, I think the bothersome fact, or the like what people get triggered by or find offensive, is something connected to pain, though. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, there's something that has, it's not just that one incident. It's that incident connected to, maybe she was really, like, it was kind of a sore spot that her ID hadn't been changed yet. And she tried, or whatever the case was. And then when you read the ID and then call her Ron, it's kind of like, ouch.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, this was a different time. I had no idea. This was, mind you, 20 years ago, even.
Okay.
So,
So
long.
maybe it wasn't possible to even change on the
Right,
ID.
right. No, this was definitely in 1999. I was still living in the U.S. at this point, in
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, last before I hadn't gone to California yet. Um, but yeah, no, I was watching something tonight, a different podcast, and they had a comedian on there. He was on Kids in the Hall. He
Mm-hmm.
had to do, if you watch that show, it was Scott Thompson. He was very out. He's gay and very
Mm-hmm.
out on the show and just very, extreme and great. And yeah, he was just talking about some of the difficult times that they were having with being gay. And God, I just completely lost my train of thought, and I'm gonna have to edit that out. Oh no,
That's fine. Like, that
that's
happens. But
horrible.
but yeah, no, it's just like, whether even sexual orientation, I guess that's another one that, can you play around with that as far as costumes go? Because, so, but the thing about, okay, so animals is one thing that I didn't think would offend anybody,
Oh,
but
that's right. Animals. Sorry,
I
I cut you
started
off about
I
3 days
started
ago on that one and never let you finish.
Right. You're like, we're not going to the zoo. No, thank you. Back up.
I said
Rewind.
before we go to the zoo.
Right. Well, but then you just never went. So,
I was filibustering.
I want to go to the zoo because I have something important to say. No. So I actually thought that that was pretty safe because there are a lot of animals in kids' movies too, right? So like kids see cartoons and there's like what cartoon doesn't have some animal that talks? But this is my thing, is like I have empathy for people. I really do care about how other people feel, not just in a sense of like I want to win a popularity contest, but I just don't want to be causing pain for other people unnecessarily. Like if there's no point in it, like why do that? So
No, that's
um
good people
you know
do.
well, yeah, some people like to poke at pain. I don't like to do that. I don't enjoy other people being miserable. I would much rather have fun and know that other people think it's fun too, and just you can be creative and have fun without, make triggering people to like painful moments, hopefully. Anyways, but I was doing I have a lot of hair clients, and one of my hair clients I was I just always play, so she was a new hair client, so I was playing movies that my young son likes to watch, which it's like Ice Age and Bug's Life and like all these kind of movies that have, I mean, it's just like most of them have animals that talk. And she was like, "Do you mind not playing like cartoons that have animals that talk?" And I was like, like, so I was trying to think like, no, that's fine. But I kind of, initially I was just kind of like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But I had to check myself because I learned something. Her husband had cheated on her with their dog and then killed the dog. And then like they went to marriage counseling and therapy, and then it ended up they got another dog, and then he cheated on her with that dog, and then they got divorced. But anyway, it was
Wait,
she felt
what?
like she felt like the cartoons were like
wait.
humanizing animals, and that's where it
What's going on?
starts, is by like having like dogs talking in cartoons. Then you think of them as like a sex object later. I don't
Wait, can we
know.
back up and confirm that I heard what I think I heard?
Yeah. No, you heard it. But okay, the part that I didn't tell you was that he was cheating on her also with a guy, but that she thought, okay, maybe he's just bi. I want to understand this. And, like go to counseling and stuff. And then the dog happened, and then they kept in counseling. And then it was like, it turns out that the guy that he had been cheating on was wearing a dog costume while they were doing it. So anyways,
Oh
like
my
it just
goodness.
kind of brought like a whole nother, like, I was just thinking of like, how would she feel if somebody was dressed up as a dog for Halloween? That might kind of like make her feel some kind of way.
Trigger her madness.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I
Oh
don't know.
my
Like, what is
God.
safe? Like, what is safe? On another note, like, what are you going as for Halloween this year?
Actually, don't even know if I'm going anywhere
Are
for
you not
Halloween.
going?
Don't
You're
know
staying
yet.
home?
Probably. There was a guy in London on the Underground this week that was riding around on the Underground in
Mm-hmm.
blackface. So
Oh,
yeah, he's got like a black suit on, kind of like the old Blues
minstrel
Brothers.
thing.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like the white and black, and he's got a black curly wig on. But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if he was going to a party or not. I haven't read the article, but it's a lot of fancy dress out here. But I think a lot of people understand that it's probably not the best thing to do, but people are gonna want to push the envelope anyway.
Well, there are those people who just want to go viral. They don't care what
Well,
for,
there he is. He's on
So
the internet now. So
yeah, and they feel like that's success. Like some people actually commit crimes for that reason too. Like, I just wanted somebody to know my name, so I'm
he's
the best
peaked.
serial killer or something.
This guy has peaked. Good for him. He's made it. Now he can go
Yeah.
back to stocking wood at the local timber yard and regular life.
Well, or maybe not. Maybe never. Maybe he can't get a job again after that. So that then would
Well, if we
be.
discover who he is and then social
Oh,
media
right.
decides to destroy him, that's
Like, who
that's a
doesn't? Who Like, is there anybody that can't be discovered at this point? They're like drones and satellites and cell phone records and
Wow. This is quickly
I
turning
don't
into a
know.
conspiracy show. I love it.
Well, I mean, like you can't really hide. He went out in public. Like somebody probably saw him leave his house like that or something. I just feel like it's,
Well, it's Halloween. Why can't I wear this? Is the argument you're going to always get. You can never prove somebody's intent unless they're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. I guess that is the bottom line. Either play it super safe and
Normally
yeah.
goes a skeleton, and then I probably I
Are
got
you
like
well?
I got like
Wait, are you
three
poking fun at anorexia?
Oh, see.
Eating disorder? No.
No, like this is the last chapter of what you're doing to yourself. Is this?
Right. We all die. We all have these bones underneath of whatever other fat and muscle and stuff we got, skin.
I wish I could get one of those like Body Worlds like type costumes. Have you ever
Body World.
Is it called Body Worlds or Body Works? Body Works. The artistic
The spandex.
exhibition where the guy had taken all the skin off of the human bodies. And
Oh.
all you see are the muscles on all of You've never seen this before?
Uh-uh.
Oh wow, it's intense. I'll have to send you some images.
You mean like where they painted the muscles on top of the skin?
No, this man, artist,
Mm-hmm.
took actual cadavers.
Oh, okay.
Skin off of all the bodies. What else
Well,
we got going on? We're almost out of time here.
I know. Gotta wrap it up. Well, I think I'm gonna be going as the whistleblower.
Oh, I didn't
And
see how I am. I didn't even ask.
No, you didn't. So I just had to, volunteer. But yeah, my little 3-year-old is gonna be going as my lawyer. So, because we still don't know who the whistleblower is.
Going to a party.
I would not mind that title.
What?
She took down the Trump administration. Go, Rachel. We like you now. No, just am I going to a party? No, I am going to be doing the mom thing of handing out candy at the door. So we have a lot of neighborhood kids that walk through here.
I was wondering about today or actually yesterday. I was at the store. I should get candy. I didn't know if there was a lot of kids that walked around in this area because I just moved a couple weeks ago, like a month or so.
Well, in America, it's 25% of the candy sold every year is for Halloween. So it's like a big economic boom. It's supposed to be second to Christmas as the most money spent on the holiday. Halloween is second to Christmas in the U.S. So people go all out. Costumes, candy, parties, food.
I miss that up home. We don't do that so much here. Halloween parties. So
yeah. It kind of took on its own like American twist. But I think it actually originated like 2,000 years ago over there in like UK, northern France, Ireland, the Celtic festival of Samhain or whatever was like that's the Halloween roots is over there. But then it's after
history lesson today, folks.
There we go. After the Pope, established All Saints Day, and then it was like, so yeah, over in the UK and Ireland and northern France, like back in the day, I think it was November 1st was New Year's Day. So October 31st was like New Year's Eve, and it was kind of like a celebration of the end of the year, death, whatever, like harvest, and then prep for the long, cold winter. So it's kind of like the old year dying, the new year coming in. And then it became the All Saints Day, and then it was All Hallows Eve, and then in America it just took on a whole life of its own with the costumes and parties and stuff. But I think back in the original Celtic version, it was most people did dress up actually as animals. initially. So, and then it kind of morphed into more of the like druids and the.
Because they didn't have sports teams and rock stars to dress like.
Right. Well, that's another thing. Probably don't dress up as a zombie version of a celebrity that's passed away. That probably wouldn't be nice either.
I actually had that once too. Same nightclub. This was probably
Oh, wow.
2000, maybe. I don't know what year it was. I could look it up really quickly. But there was this golfer, professional golfer. His name was Payne Stewart, and Payne had this signature trademark like outfit or fashion style where he would wear, the knee-high knickers and the plaid socks every time he played, and with the big hat. So he died in a plane crash, probably in maybe August or something like that of that year. And this guy shows up at my bar dressed like the plane wreckage dead version of Payne Stewart.
God.
Right. Dude, I'm not letting you in there. You're gonna get killed in this bar coming in here like.
Yeah, not a good idea. Also, probably don't dress up as a terrorist.
I think that's number one on that list. But I mean, it's the one night you could actually get away with it. It's like I always say, if you want to rob somebody, that's
my gosh.
the
Well, back, it actually in the early 1900s there was a lot of that. Like they had to crack down on vandalism and stuff. Early and mid 1900s, I think in the U.S., like lots of, like people.
We were tearing stuff up when I was a kid. We have a thing in where I'm from, and it's called Devil's Night, and it's the night before Halloween. And you just, where I'm from, because I grew up in the suburbs, we would just go out and smash pumpkins. But in the city, like Detroit,
because that's what the devil is interested in is mutilated pumpkins, right?
Destruction, apparently. But in the inner city of Detroit, they were actually burning down houses. Like this was like a thing, and usually they were vacant houses, but still, it was a massive, massive problem. That every year before Halloween, they had this thing called Devil's Night. It took them maybe 20 years to change it, to try to at least rebrand it as Angels Night or something. And
oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Well, devils are fallen angels, so I don't know if that was a good idea for an opposites thing.
This is how they did it in Detroit, boy. They didn't care.
I don't know, right? People didn't think through that. Yeah. Well, actually, there is still some animal cruelty that goes on where I live now. Like the Humane Society said there are a lot of black cats that are maimed or killed, like beheaded during Halloween every year. They find like at least half a dozen corpses, and just
that's like,
some people
rituals or
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that like I almost like don't care what the reason is. It's just horrifying and sad, especially since my son's only pet is a cat, and she happens to be a black cat. So
you should care about what the reason is, because maybe it'll happen to his cat. So we have to find out what the root cause is. So you have like, devil
or where they're
doing
around it. I don't know. Yeah.
Cats. And
I just keep her inside, basically. It's the
safe bet.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, we're out of here. So don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe if you're listening on iTunes. If you've got anything else, what are your social medias? Should we give away?
Yeah. Rachel A. Dolezal on Instagram and Twitter, and then racheldolezal.com is my website where you can get my signed book and my original art and handmade dolls and all kind of stuff there. And then I also have a YouTube channel, which there's a little Nala the Rescue Cat video on my YouTube channel that features the black cat named Nala, who is Franklin's pride and joy. So, yeah.
Excellent. And yeah, that's what's up, you guys. We'll catch you guys next week. Okay. Come on, Joseph.
I'm Rachel Dolezal.